Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. On Monday, at approximately 2:20 p.m., I received an email. It was the same email all of you received, which is how we ended up in this room together on a Friday afternoon at the Naval Postgraduate School. What jumped out at me from the email was where it said my name next to speaker number 2. When I saw my name next to speaker number 2, even though I hadn't signed up to be speaker number 2, I knew I couldn't say no. I am here at Toastmasters because, like maybe some of you, every bone in my body shudders at the idea of writing and developing a prepared speech. Now, this is slightly ironic, because when asked to speak on the fly, I generally do quite well. But when asked to think about what I'm going to say, I become a helplessly self-critical, over-prepped, yet underprepared mess. While this could not have been a worse week to prepare for and practice my number 6 speech, I knew I had to do it. My hopelessly self-critical, over-prepped, yet underpreparedness has consequences that are taking their toll on my personal and my professional life. Now, before I go into the consequences, I'd like to talk a little bit about my disorder. It goes something like this. Monday. The Toastmaster sends an email to the NPS Toastmasters Club. Next to speaker number 2, it reads Kate Daniesl Kurz. By Monday afternoon, and throughout the evening, I find myself distracted, headachy, filled with anticipatory dis-ease, distracted during work, after work, and before bed. Bottom line, there's just not enough time in the week to both prepare and practice my number 6 speech. Total time spent worrying about my number 6 speech on Monday, 45 minutes. Percentage of the speech complete, 0. By Tuesday, panic creeps in, at least once per hour that somehow it's already Thursday and I forgot to prepare my speech. When I'm not worrying about how the week somehow finally just slipped by me, I have regular thoughts about our club, NPS Toastmasters. They're organized. NPS Toastmasters, they're disciplined. I'm not good enough for the group. When I show up by Friday unprepared, they're surely going to kick me out. Total time on Tuesday spent worrying about my number 6 speech, 1 hour. Percentage of number 6 speech complete, 0. By Wednesday, I try to reassure myself that I have plenty of time to write my speech. I promise myself that I'll devote the entire afternoon to writing my speech, but I get a late start because of work. When I do finally sit down to my yellow legal pad and chai tea, I begin by reading the description of the number 6 speech in my Competent Communicator manual. I read it a second time, and at that point I remember Tanya Holloway's number 6 speech. It was brilliant. It was about delivering her child. The vocal variety, the rate, the pitch, the quality, and she was funny to boot. I decide I shouldn't even try. But trying to get Tanya out of my mind, I start and stop numerous times. By the end, I decide that I need to just shred all of my attempts because they're just pathetic excuses for a speech, and I would be too embarrassed if anyone ever came across them. Exhausted and flabbergasted, I give up. Total time spent worrying and thinking about my speech, 1 hour, 15 minutes. Percentage of my speech complete, 0. So you get the picture. I'm a self-deprecating nut. Yet, writing my number 6 speech has inadvertently offered me the opportunity to reflect on this pattern of behavior. I can't help but ask myself, does this lunacy serve any purpose at all? Like I said earlier, my disorder has both personal and professional consequences. You see, I have to speak all the time. On the radio, on television, at events. The scenario that I have just laid out for you is potentially proportionally much worse. Take, for example, a year ago. I was invited to deliver the keynote address at a university in Southern California, to speak for 45 minutes. This scenario played out tenfold. I couldn't focus on my family, on my job, on anything but the speech for 2 weeks. I was grumpy, overwhelmed, and tired. I watched YouTube videos of other speakers in my profession, comparing myself endlessly to how I felt on the inside to their spectacular note-free performances. I spent so much time worrying about what I would say and how the audience would react that by the time I did get around to writing the speech, I had very little time to practice it. When I finally did practice the night before, all I could at that point do, at the night before, what I thought most certainly would be 45 minutes was only 20. All I could do at that point was speak very, very slowly. Needless to say, it did not go over very well, and I was not invited back to speak this year. Fortunately, as I take this time to laugh with all of you, you affable group that you are, I do realize the absurdity, which is what is essentially this obsession that I have with myself. When I'm out doing this fearful dance, I'm really not physically present. I'm not present at work, I'm not present in my home life, and I'm most importantly not spending the time that I have to enjoy my life, my relationships, or the work that I'm blessed to do. This speech has really caused me to wonder how it is that I have forgotten that common refrain, life is a journey. Every moment an opportunity to learn and to enjoy. Instead, I've allowed my fear to reign and turned my life into a constant exam that I'm destined to fail. As the refrain goes, it's about the journey and not the destination.